Welcome to Whispers of the Web, where the hidden gems of the web come to life. Join us as we unravel the most fascinating tales, secrets, and discussions from across the web. Every whisper has a story. If you enjoy our journey through the whispers of the web, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the intrigue. Story number 1. Am I the a-hole for refusing to quit my job to look after my baby? I, 33 female. I'm a lawyer and my husband, 34 male, works in an office. I earn the most money, so when I got pregnant we decided that my husband would stay at home with our daughter, at least until she was a little older. It's been 2 months since I gave birth to our daughter, and I'm planning on going back to work next month. My husband told me last week that it would be better if I quit my job and took care of the baby and he could provide for us. I told him no, because there is no good reason to do that. I earn more than him and I actually like my job, whereas he hates his job and earns a lot less than me. Plus, we literally agreed that I'd work and he'd look after our daughter. I don't understand what's changed. He called me a bad mom and he's been really upset with me since. We've been fighting about it a lot because he keeps bringing it up. It was his idea to have a child, and he told me he was happy to be a stay-at-home dad. I don't understand why he doesn't want that anymore. I don't believe you're in the wrong here. So not the a-hole. The decision you and your husband made initially, for him to stay at home with your daughter while you continue working, seems like a rational and practical choice, especially considering your job satisfaction and higher income. There might be underlying issues your husband is grappling with, possibly related to his views on masculinity and his role in the family. It's not uncommon for societal expectations and personal beliefs about traditional gender roles to impact how we feel about our responsibilities, especially in the context of parenting and careers. Your husband needs to openly communicate what exactly is bothering him about being a stay-at-home dad. It might be about his sense of identity, feelings of inadequacy, or even just the new challenges of parenting, which can be overwhelming for anyone. Understanding the root of his discomfort is key to finding a solution that works for both of you. I'd recommend looking for a counselor or therapist who can mediate this conversation between you two in a constructive and healthy way, considering he is already upset and failing to communicate as it is. Story number 2. Am I the a-hole for being upset that my husband ate nearly half of my burger in one big bite after I offered him a taste or bite of my food? A few years ago, my husband and I picked up some food for supper from a restaurant that was featured in one of those Food Network shows. The place was packed and there was a long line of people, so we decided to get a to-go order. My husband paid for our entire order. We get back to the hotel and start eating. As soon as I took the first bite of my burger, I proclaimed that this was the best burger I had ever tasted. Since we ordered 2 different items from the menu, he offered me a bite of his food. It was good, but I preferred mine. Then I offered him a bite of mine. I am not exaggerating when I say that he took a third, close to half, of my burger in one bite. As soon as he did this, I got upset. I asked him why he would eat such a huge portion of my burger when I only offered a bite. He said that he wanted to taste all the parts of the burger, and that's what his bites look like. He also said that he did exactly what I told him to, so he doesn't understand why I'm so upset. We posted on Reddit because we still argue about who was wrong. Edit. This was brought up again because we saw a TikTok about a similar topic. We argue about it in a playful way, but still want to know who was wrong. The burger place was a long distance away from our hotel. It was very late, and this was before all the delivery apps were available. Edit number 2. Frequently asked questions. Why bring it up all these years later? Because that's how we are. We tease each other about a lot of things. He finds every opportunity to bring up weird and stupid things I've done in the past. My thing is to bring up the burger. Why did you post this on Reddit? Because I offhandedly said we should post it on Am I the a-hole to see what people would say, so we could settle it once and for all. We knew we would both get ripped to shreds, him more than me, but I was not prepared for all the abusive comments. Has he done it again? No. We have established some rules about our food over the years. I'm not going to help myself to his fries like I used to. He's going to take normal-sized bites of my food. Is he any of the things you've called him? No. He's a good man. He treats me well. This might surprise you, but he loves to feed me and see me do my happy food dance. I'm not divorcing him. In the most light-hearted way possible, I will vote that your husband is the a-hole here. He was inconsiderate to your own desire to eat your burger, and he should not have taken such a huge bite. A bite of someone's food should never upset them, so he should have apologized then. But I'm glad you two have rules around food now. My husband and I have rules for tasting our food too. I'm a really slow eater, and he always asks to try a bite of my food when we order different things. I have to put my fingers in the way or he'll try and take a bigger bite than I'm comfortable with. So I understand your frustration in this. Story number 3. Am I the a-hole for getting into an argument with my sister-in-law about her child hitting my pregnant belly? I, female 27, and my husband, male 30, have been together for 7 years and are currently expecting. I am 27 weeks pregnant, and at the time of this event I was 25 weeks. The other important people to this situation are my younger brother, male 23, his girlfriend, female 23, and their child, male 6. They are young parents obviously, and had their baby when they were still in high school. As I mentioned, I am 27 weeks pregnant, and my doctor has told me I have a high-risk pregnancy due to placenta previa. Feel free to Google it if you'd like. Because of this condition, I have no choice but to have a scheduled C-section when it's time, and when I found out this was really upsetting news. I always planned on a natural birth, so it just kind of hit me hard. However, above all else, I want my baby to be healthy, and me, so it is what it is. My other sister-in-law, my husband's sister, Carrie, has been really supportive of me and my pregnancy, and we talk a lot. Well, recently there was a family gathering, and of course my husband and I went. I was sitting with Carrie talking about work when my brother's kid comes over. He's just 6, like I said, and he was really interested in my belly. He asked me why I was fat, and he kept reaching towards my bump. I grabbed my nephew's hands and explained to him that I have a baby in my tummy and that pretty soon he's gonna have a baby cousin. And it's okay to touch my bump, but just be gentle, especially so because of my previa. I'm supposed to be on light bed rest, but obviously I didn't tell this child this. This little jerk, not exaggerating, he's also just horrible, reaches and touches my belly before whining back and punching me. Holy crap, that little kid had some power. Immediately Carrie and I scold him and remind him that 1. He needs to keep his hands to himself, and 2. It was very mean and dangerous to hit my belly. He apologized and then ran off. A few minutes later, his mother, my brother's girlfriend, comes up to me and asks me what I told her son. I explained what happened, exactly how it happened. She told me that her son was upset because I yelled at him. My internal dialogue was that yeah, I bet he is, because he never gets disciplined in general. He's a spoiled child and his parents let him do whatever he wants. But externally, I apologized for it but reminded her that he needed to not hit my tummy, or in general. She rolled her eyes and just walked away. About an hour later, my husband and I are getting ready to go, so I stood up and went to tell my brother goodbye. He was standing with his son, and as soon as I was in arm's reach of him, the kid reached out and smacked me in my stomach again. Hard. I doubled over that time, and my husband immediately started to scold the child while making sure I was okay. My brother's girlfriend started to lose her mind about us parenting her kid for her, resulting in my husband getting loud with her about how the kid is a brat and needed it. In turn, my brother and husband had quite a large argument that most of our family witnessed. And now half of my family is mad at her, and the other half is mad at me. I understand that my husband probably didn't handle it the best, but the child was literally hitting me. I feel like I'm not the a-hole, but I'm open to hearing the other side. Thanks. Neither you or your husband are the a-hole in this situation. Your concern and reaction to a child hitting your pregnant belly, especially given your high-risk pregnancy, is completely justified. What is concerning is that your nephew's behavior wasn't immediately addressed and corrected by his parents after the first incident. While children can be impulsive, it's important for parents to teach them about boundaries and respect, especially in delicate situations like yours. Your husband's reaction was understandable given the circumstances and his concern for your well-being. Given the lack of understanding and support from that side of the family, it could be time for you and your husband to distance yourselves for the time being. That doesn't necessarily mean cutting ties completely, but instead just taking a step back to prioritize you and your baby's health. Congratulations on the new baby. Story number 4. Am I the a-hole for calling my partner an a-hole, refusing to eat anything his mother makes, and no longer wanting her at my house? Long-time lurker and viewer, but this is my first real post. Some backstory. I, 37 female, and my partner, 44 male, have been together for almost 15 years. We have 5 kids, 2 boys from his previous marriage, 1 still lives at home which we also had sole custody of, and 2 girls and 1 boy together. We are not married, which is something I want, but that's a story for another time. My partner's parents got divorced when he was little, and he's never had a great relationship with his mom. He's also a quiet man. Mother-in-law, 66 female, has always had an issue with me and has said some pretty awful things when I was pregnant with our 3 children. Example: you should terminate because you're ruining the boys' lives. I don't think the baby is his, but the proof will be in the pudding. She treats our 3 kids like they are evil stepchildren, while the older 2 are treated like kings. She is a Facebook grandparent, and only comes around when it looks good for her. I have always just gone with the flow and been pleasant when she's around because I don't want to cause any issues and hate conflict. Over the past 15 years, my partner and I have made it known to family and friends that I am allergic to walnuts, and that foods that say that they may contain or have been in contact with tree nuts I cannot eat. As I've grown older, this allergy has gotten to the point of needing an EpiPen. My oldest daughter, 13 female, has been my biggest advocate when it comes to my allergy and often will check labels for food that I hadn't checked to make sure it's safe for me. And if it does say something about tree nuts, she lets me know and will put that food in a cabinet away from my safe foods. Mother-in-law apparently doesn't care about my food allergy. She will often send home foods with my children that contain walnuts, and when my daughter would remind her that I'm allergic and that she wasn't comfortable bringing home that food due to my allergy, mother-in-law responds, "She doesn't have to eat it." My daughter has done her research on my allergy and would let mother-in-law know that even contact with food or someone who has eaten or touched walnuts can cause me to have a reaction. But she tells my daughter that I'll survive. She's ignorant. Now I don't expect people to have their houses be walnut or tree nut free because that's an a-hole move. But I do expect them to not bring foods with walnuts or tree nuts intentionally to my house out of respect. Every single Christmas, mother-in-law brings food to my house, and every time she makes either banana bread or something else with walnuts in it. Just the regular amount of nuts the recipe calls for. But still, what kind of monster purposefully makes food that you're allergic to and brings it to your house? This causes fights between my partner and me because I refuse to eat anything she makes. And I feel that he needs to remind his mother that I am allergic so we don't have nuts like that in the house. I feel that after 15 years of myself, and especially my daughter, making it known that I'm allergic and do not have or want those foods in the house, we shouldn't have to remind a grown woman. But I do think that my partner should speak up every time his mother does this, and make her take the foods back to her car or be normal, and just not bring them to my house. There's more, but this post is already going to be a lot. This all leads to Christmas. This monster, I mean my mother-in-law, came up Christmas morning. She brought in all of her food and gifts as usual and put her food out on my island next to our food. She proudly pulls out 2 Ziploc bags covered in oil. She smiles and tells my partner that she made banana and pumpkin bread, both with walnuts, and that she roasted the walnuts first. She then proceeded to tell my partner how she roasted the walnuts and added more than the recipes called for the flavor. These were not bread, they looked like balled up walnut pieces made to look like a loaf. I have honestly never seen so many walnuts in any recipe. My daughter was mortified. I ran into the bathroom shocked, and my daughter followed me. This girl has never sworn in front of me, but she was so pissed off she said, "Mom, did you see all of those freaking walnuts? What is she thinking?" I giggled, and my daughter apologized for the swearing, but I honestly didn't care because I saw her anger and confusion. I told her not to say anything because I didn't want her grandmother to start a fight and say that my daughter was disrespectful for sticking up for me. I also didn't want to ruin the holiday for my younger children, so I told her to let it go because I was sure her dad would say something after all of the talks we'd had and this was overkill. This grown man said nothing about the food and just listened to his mom talk about roasting walnuts. Even when I made it known that I couldn't eat any of the foods we had put out because mother-in-law was touching everything with her nut hands, and the nut oil was all over the island, he stayed silent about the issue. None of our children touched the breads and even moved them away from the other foods and wiped down the island, but mother-in-law put the breads back. Our son, 18 male, did say that he moved the breads away because of the walnuts and my allergy. But mother-in-law replied with, "Well, she doesn't have to eat them," as she took a big bite of her piece. I was pissed and pulled my partner aside and told him that he needed to say something because she was being ignorant and disrespecting us and our household. He told me to let it go, he'd take care of it, and she would be leaving soon. She didn't leave soon. She stayed for a few hours while I sat quietly and played with our youngest 7 male. When she left, my kids showed me what the inside of the banana bread looked like, and it was all walnuts. I wish I had taken a picture to show you all. When she finally left, our children asked their dad why his mother would do that and be proud of making these walnut monstrosities and bringing them to our house. They expressed their frustrations and how they felt his mom was disrespecting me and that he was letting her get away with it. He just told them to let it go and that he'd handle it. We fought because this was the final straw for me. She's repeatedly disrespected me for 15 years. But this last nutty situation was overkill. And I'm not gonna lie, I truly think this woman is trying to kill me at this point. I told my partner he was a freaking a-hole and that he needed to stick up for our children and me by telling his mother that what she's been doing is ignorant and won't be tolerated. I also told him that I no longer wanted her to come to our house. He still hasn't said anything to his mother about this. I've asked my father-in-law and my dad if I'm wrong for wanting my partner to speak up, but they both said that he shouldn't even need to be asked to stick up for me and should just do it on his own. They both feel that this is a power play by mother-in-law and a crappy move and that she shouldn't be allowed at my house until she apologizes and admits that she's wrong for continuing to do this. Others I've asked have said that I just need to let it go because she doesn't come around often, and it's best to keep the peace. So am I the a-hole for calling my husband an a-hole, refusing to eat mother-in-law's food, and no longer wanting her at my house? So I want to add a quick edit. Significant other and his mom had a huge blowout when he was young, so he left and moved in with his dad, which I feel may be why he avoids conflict with her. Mother-in-law thankfully lives 2.5 hours away. Mother-in-law also has a brother-in-law for over 30 years that is also allergic to walnuts. I absolutely hate conflict, but when I get pissed off enough I do blow up, and I know I will lose my crap on her. She'll of course end up playing victim, which would lead to sister-in-law getting involved. Besides marriage and the issue with mother-in-law, significant other has always been amazing. When I had emergency brain surgery, this man took on everything, took care of me, and worked together with my family to make sure I was taken care of when he had to go back to work. I don't understand why he won't speak up to mother-in-law. The only thing I can think of is his resentment towards how he was raised and the blowout they had when he was younger. First of all, you are not the a-hole at all. I'm highly concerned that your mother-in-law is literally trying to kill you. It seems like she clearly loves that her son, your significant other, doesn't seem to care that she's disrespectful to you, and it's like that gives her a power trip of some sort. The very fact that your own children notice it and care more than your significant other is really wild to me. You should absolutely ban her from your home and never allow her to come over again. I would seriously consider the viability of your relationship with your significant other considering it's been 15 years of this disrespect. If he cares more about hurting his mom's feeling than he does about your life, then that's a serious issue that he refuses to address, and he's trying to get you and your kids to ignore it too. Thank you for joining us for today's journey through the whispers of the web. Share your thoughts and suggestions for our next adventure. If you're not yet a part of our whispering community, click the subscribe button and click the bell for notifications to never miss out on another story. Join us next time as we uncover another enthralling tale from the web. Until our next whisper.